You voted against the parliamentary inquiry.
No, but you just recorded it.
This is evidence. The AFP will have it. And if AFP wants to delete it, they can then delete it off me.
What's going on here?
Yep.
Because these aren't my people.
No.
Turn it off. And you, and you.
Yes. There is no hidden agenda here. Nobody's going to do something behind your backs while you're not looking. Stop reading all the conspiracy theories and going down the rabbit hole. 5%.
Anybody's allowed to film in public.
No, you can't.
It is not up to me, it is up to the local governments and the libraries who are doing it.
You must have
and
an
it's up
opinion,
to them.
Do you feel that it's appropriate
And
that
I have never seen a drag queen, I don't know, do what you're doing, for example, go out and spread hate.
Libraries choose to offer this to parents, and parents choose to send their children. Is it any skin off my nose? No. Do I feel offended by it? No. Do I feel like it's taking something away from me? No. Do I feel like I have any less rights as a citizen? That I am made powerless by it? No.
So I've just been looking on the City of Sterling's website for the strategic community planning for 2022 right through to 2032. They said that they undertook extensive consultation with the community
Regarding the planning?
Yeah. So they spoke to 2,000 people. Now the community of Sterling is 37,500 people. They've taken the opinion of 5% of the residents. I don't call that extensive consultation.
Can I just ask you, do you give permission for your face to be on camera? Okay, fine. Okay.
So 5%. So if we were in Parliament and 5% decided that, yeah, we're going this way, and the other 95% didn't know about it or didn't have their say, would that be acceptable, that 5% are able to do
I think this is something that I would take back to the City of Stirling. In terms of the kind of the consultation, oftentimes they will put out a schedule for different consultations.
Shopping centres on a Tuesday morning at 11:30, so most
that makes
people would
it
have been at
difficult for
work.
people. Okay.
I would have been at work myself, so I didn't even know about this community consultation.
Yeah.
And I'm very active in my community.
Yeah.
So to discover that the strategic community planning has been pushed through because of 5% of the people knew about it. That's my concern.
And were there, did you read the strategic?
I have, it's 48 pages. Yeah.
Okay. And were there issues that were specifically?
Well, that's a huge conversation to have. My concern was that 5% of the community, and the Shire seems to think that that's extensive consultation. I don't think that is. I'd like you to talk about that.
I'm really happy to take that back to
Thank you, Anne.
but I encourage you also to write to them as well, or speak to your local councillor as well.
And you.
You can record in public spaces without permission.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Record people.
Anybody's allowed to film in public.
No, because
No, you can't. You can't use people's images without their permission.
In terms of the voice, what the Constitution will do is legislative voice. What we've seen in the past is that things that are set up can, if they're just legislated or just set up, are eradicated, are moved, are dismantled.
So some of these other groups that have been put out with the government's giving money to other Indigenous organisations, will they be stopped if we're going to one advisory board?
No, because the voice doesn't have the power to, or is not a service providing body. It's not a funding body.
So,
it is an advisory body. So the voice will only have a mandate to give advice on issues that affect Aboriginal people or affect Aboriginal people differently, and the government and the executive may or may not take that advice.
And if 51% of the Australian population vote no against the voice, will Albanese recognise that in the democratic
Well, he has to. It's a referendum.
He has to. So he won't push it through if 51%
Well, you can't because it's a referendum.
Okay. That's what we want to
The
know.
government cannot change the Constitution. Only the people can change the Constitution.
Well,
and the only
consultation is 5%,
the only mechanism by which the people can change the referendum can change the Constitution is via a referendum.
Yes.
There is no hidden agenda here. Nobody's going to do something behind your backs while you're not looking. Stop reading all the conspiracy theories and going down the rabbit hole.
This is evidence. This is evidence. The AFP will have it. And if AFP wants to delete it, they can then delete it off me.
Expressly said so. Please respect him.
So the next person comes in.
I'm not filming, but I'm just saying that anybody's allowed to film in
but
public.
you can't.
No, because
No, you can't. You can't use people's images without their permission.
Yep.
And that includes their voice.
So please turn that off. Please be respectful and turn that off.
Just a quick question.
Turn it off.
You voted against the parliamentary inquiry.
And that's the way it is.
You can't.
Anywhere in a public
No, if
place,
you're
anyone
filming
can
other
film.
people, you need to get their permission.
The councils, all the councils around the WA, are currently implementing a lot of surveillance and cameras and recording facial recognition and number plates. And the people hasn't been consulted on this, and this it seems is going with the UN 2030 agenda of smart cities and restricting people's movements. And are you okay with that?
Okay, so let me talk a little bit about security, because that was the field that I have. I was a professor in that space. You would agree with me that community safety is a priority issue, correct? And there are several things that you can do around community safety. You can put cameras up. There actually is no hard evidence that CCTV can actually decrease crime, but it does help for the collection of evidence where a crime has been committed, and they need to. They need to do that. I think the thing with security and with any kind of tech is what it's used for. And the development of tech with an ethical consideration of the interface between technology, security and human behaviour. That's been a big thing of mine. I've written a lot about that kind of, that ethical construct and the ethical framework in which tech is implemented. So I think that whilst when we do have these things, we also need laws in place and safeguards in place to ensure that that kind of data is not used in ways that are an invasion of individual privacy or that do compromise individual privacy or individual confidentiality. Now the thing is, there is a difference between confidentiality and privacy. So let's say you sign up to a social media platform, you are giving away a lot of your privacy. Right? And a lot of people do it unwittingly. Maybe they don't read the terms and conditions, but also when they put up private information on Facebook, for example, they don't understand that they are actually giving away a lot of their privacy in that space. Confidentiality relates to how that information or how that data is used by the platform owners. So there is a difference between privacy and confidentiality, and often the two get mixed up. Does everybody have a right to privacy? Yes, unless they're committing a crime. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, but
right?
my concern...
Does everyone have a... I'll just finish this point and then I'll let you go to your next point, Pedro. Does everyone have a right to confidentiality of their data? Yes. Right? So it's not about what data is... partly it's about what data is collected, partly it's about how that data is used.
Yeah, so my concern with all this collection of data from the citizens is that it's going to be used to restrict our movements. Because if you look at the Agenda 2030 and the United Nations and this, it's about...
So tell me how it could be used to restrict your movement. Give me a practical example.
For example, that you're only allowed to travel certain kilometers a year, and if you travel more, then you get punished, or you get...
Well, how would you be punished, and how would that be enforced, and how would that happen?
With the central banking digital currency, you won't be allowed to use your money, or you won't be, all those... Yeah.
How would you not be allowed to use your money?
That's what the central banking CBDC
okay,
is
so just
about.
think about how all of these things mesh into
they put
each other. When you
yeah.
read this stuff into your in the echo chamber that is online, right? And these theories get passed around. Think about the practicality.
It's not a theory. It's
Think
what
about
I've read
how.
on the UN website.
So you read it online.
Yes, that's what it's going. That's where we're going. It is happening already in Oxford in the UK.
Are you here?
They're implementing these
At
things.
the-
Since all the councils around the world are following suit to the World Economic
I
Forum.
would say to you, if it's an issue with your local council, I'm happy to pass that on to your local council. But the best thing that you can do is make a representation to your local councillors and to your local council.
we
You live in
already
the city of Stirling.
I've got
I live in the city of Joondalup.
Joondalup.
Okay. Make a representation to the mayor there and to the councillors in your area.
We're doing that. I just want you
for them to arrive,
help
that's
us.
all.
Because
Everything's for the
we're
moment.
getting.
It's not.
They're
It's not
gonna
violent. Yeah.
put us in these 15-minute cities. They are like prison camps. That's what they are. You won't be allowed to leave, or if you leave, you're going to penalties. But you won't be allowed to travel more than 1,500
Alright,
k's
sure.
a year.
I don't know that I've
as
seen
soon as they
evidence
come,
of that, but when
I
if
think
you
they-
can
I
send
think
me
they're
evidence
already-
of that, I'm happy
I'll
to
have a
look
look.
at evidence.
But thank you.
Evidence.
I have sent you evidence of that, and your
empirical
staffers.
evidence.
No worries.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye.
And I'll have a look at it.
Your staffers have replied to me that no, don't worry, this is not going to happen, and I've sent the evidence to you to your office.
Well, I'm sure my office looked at the evidence and ensured that it was legitimate evidence, because there's illegitimate evidence out there. We live in a world of a lot of misinformation and disinformation at the moment.
The thing is that-
and I would
yeah.
caution people to really think about things and where they're coming from. We do live in a world of misinformation and disinformation, and I know it's very, very easy to go down that
United
rabbit hole.
Nations, World Economic Forum, their websites. That's where the information is coming from. And it's quite concerning what they're planning. And these are unelected bureaucrats that are foreign entities.
Well,
Directly,
I'll talk to my
yeah.
office and I'll have a look at the evidence that you sent. How's that, Pedro?
Yeah,
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
I was just reflecting on what you said before. I was under the understanding that anywhere in a public place anyone can film, and that's the way it is.
No, you can't.
No.
No, if you're filming other people, you need to get their permission.
Okay.
I've got a little girl there,
Yeah.
right? Do you think anyone can just go and film a little girl?
So in the same way,
Get
can we tell the council that we don't agree to the council filming us on the streets? It's the same, isn't it?
Well,
This is what we're going to do.
I told you, talk to your council about it. If that's the way that you feel, talk to your council about it. But the fact is, they're not filming you in the way that these people are filming me.
But it's the same thing, it's filming.
No, it's very different purpose. Very different purpose. I can guarantee you those films aren't on to make sure that I don't commit a crime.
School with grown up with Indigenous.
So have a think about it. Have a think about it. Think about it logically. And talk to the council. Okay,
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.